Morning, Lynwen, and thanks very much for your time speaking with Blue Notes today. Now, Lynwen Connick has joined ANZ from Google and Gerard Florian from Dimension Data. You've joined here in a new role, Chief Information Security Officer, but you've come from a very powerful government role and you've done a lot of major reports. So I suppose the first question is, what is so attractive about technology at banks that people like you and like Gerard and like Miley are coming here?
Well, while I was working for government, I did quite a lot of work with the private sector. And one of the things that really struck me is how important digital transformation is, particularly for the banking sector. And I was very impressed by the work that ANZ is doing in this space, that it's embracing new technology, but that cyber security is a very important part of that change. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to work here. I have a lot of background in cybersecurity. I worked at the Australian Signals Directorate from the time when cybersecurity and information security first started becoming really important. I had a lot of experience in operational cybersecurity, and I've also done a lot of work in policy and strategy around cybersecurity. I was the Chief Information Security Officer for the Department of Defence, and then I moved to the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet and had the opportunity to lead the review of Australia's cybersecurity and development of our new national cybersecurity strategy.
I take your point, Lynwen, that the two are intertwined, that government security and corporate security obviously have to go hand in hand. But nevertheless, are they different? Is there things, opportunities, issues in the corporate world that are different to what's in the government world, and again, different emphases perhaps in the government world?
I think there's more similarities than differences. You know, we all need to be really vigilant about our security when we're doing things online, but there are differences as well between what government's worried about and what the corporate world's worried about. We have seen a lot of cyber espionage and a focus on national security in the government space, whereas cybercrime is a really important issue for the corporate world and particularly for the banks. And we have different tolerances for risk, and we have different stakeholders, but in the end we all want the same thing. We want our customers to be able to do what they want to do online and to do that securely. So it's actually a lot of similarities in the sort of work that we need to do.
General Michael Hayden, formerly with the CIA and now a consultant on global cyber security, spoke at an event with Blue Notes last year, and he talked about 4 phases of conflict, and the first was land, and then the second was sea, and then conflict moved to the air. And now he says the shift into the cyber realm is the 4th dimension of this kind of conflict. It's a pretty extraordinary claim. Is it an exaggeration, do you think?
Cyber is a very increasingly important part of our national security. It's not only the 4th dimension, but it's also a very important part of all of our traditional military capabilities. And as part of the development of the new cyber strategy last year, the Prime Minister announced when it was released that Australia has an offensive cyber capability. And most governments are starting to talk more about the fact that they have offensive cyber capabilities, but they don't talk about the detail. But it's important that Australians know that we've got these capabilities and that cyber is a very important issue for everyone.
It is a sort of best of times, worst of times situation, I imagine, and there's enormous opportunity. We see it every day in the cyber world, but obviously then there's enormous risks. Banks are integral to the fabric of the security of this new cyber world. So what do you think consumers should be expecting from their banks in this area?
I think consumers should expect that we will do everything we can to secure their operations online. I always see this as an opportunity. I'm a technologist, I love technology, I love the opportunities that the digital world and the connectivity over the internet's opening up for us, but I want to know that I can do that securely, and I think our customers think very much the same way, and that's why I'm here, to make sure that we're not saying no, you can't do that, but how can we do that securely? And there are usually answers. There are a few things that you shouldn't do online, but generally we can put in place security measures that enable people to do the things they want to do, where they want to do over the internet, and that's really important. And that's what excites me about a job like this, is being able to enable those opportunities to help the digital transformation, which is so important for an organisation like ANZ.
And indeed, this new role that you're taking up has a very strong strategic emphasis. It's not simply compliance, it's integral to how Shane Allett wants the bank to develop in the digital world. How do you see that strategic role playing out here?
Well, I see that the role of a Chief Information Security Officer is a very strategic role, And information security and cyber security is something that touches most areas of what a bank does. It's really important that we look at that strategically, and that I and people who work with me get to know what the business needs are, and that we work at the very beginning when people are starting to think about new strategies and new ideas and build security in then, rather than trying to tack security on at the end of the process. And normally when you do that, you can actually build in really good security that means everyone can be reassured that what we're doing we'll be doing safely and securely online.
You haven't got your feet under the desk yet in this new role, so I won't ask what you're about to do, but when you look at banks, when you've been looking at banks from afar, does anything strike you about banks that is a sort of real underappreciated opportunity, or indeed a risk that perhaps hasn't had the profile that it should have?
I think it's a great time to be working in this space because digital disruption is moving so quickly. The banks in particular are taking up the opportunities that the digital world offers. When we did our review of Australia's cybersecurity, we found that some large companies are doing cybersecurity and information security very well, and the banking sector is part of that. But the threats are increasing, and it's really important that we keep one step ahead of our adversaries, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, because I have the experience and background to enable us to take up the opportunities of the digital world, but to do that quickly and to do that safely. And that's one of the reasons I'm joining the bank. I think this is a very exciting time to be here.
Thanks very much for speaking with Blue Notes, Lynwen. We look forward to seeing you in the new role, and good luck with that.
Thank you so much.